5 things I would never do if I was like 35 years old and I felt financially fucked. Okay, so like the first thing that I would never do is I would never buy a new car or even an expensive used car. I know this is a hot take, but like I really don't think people should buy cars that are worth more than like 20% of their net worth. You know what I'm saying? So like if you have like $100,000 net worth, then like the most you should finance for a car is maybe like 20K. If you have a negative net worth, then like you just should get the cheapest car possible. It's because that like car payment is gonna hold you back. Like it's gonna make it hard for you to like save any money or like invest or do anything fun even. Okay, now the second thing that I would never do if I was 35 years old and I felt financially fucked is I would never just like focus on being debt free. Being debt free is like not even a requirement to building wealth. Like you could build wealth and still have debt. In fact, most rich people have debt. I think my neighbors can see me. You spend all of your time just trying to be debt free and you don't ever invest any money or save any money, then you're just always going to be in the negative. And like we want to get into the positive. I wouldn't worry that much about your student loans, especially if the interest rates are like under 7%. Like that's not that bad, and like you can do other stuff with your money. Okay, I think a lot of people just want to keep people in the middle class, and that's why they tell people that debt is dumb, but debt is not dumb, and the wealthiest people use debt all the time. Now the third thing that I would never do is I would never just like pick individual stocks and think that that was investing. That's actually like way more like gambling. Instead, I would focus on buying really diversified mutual funds and ETFs, but that's real investing, is making sure you're super diversified and you're just buying and holding on for a really long time. I talk about that in my free class. If you want to invite, you can just comment training, okay? Okay, and then the fourth thing that I would never do is I would never just like raw dog it without an emergency fund. It's like never thought an emergency fund was all that important because like I had a good job and I had a credit card, so I was like, well, if something happens, I will just pay with it with credit cards. But that's a bad idea, and that's how you get into debt. That's really hard to get out of. So try to get 3 months of an emergency fund. And then the fifth thing that I would never do is I would never just buy a house because that's what you're supposed to do. A lot of people just buy a house because they think that the mortgage is actually just like their rent, but the mortgage is like the beginning of what you pay every month. And you have a bunch of other expenses every single month. And then a lot of people end up becoming house poor. And so they can't do anything. They can't get furniture. They can't go anywhere. They can't pay for things because they have this house and it's making them broke. So like, don't rush into it, okay? Good job.